Welcome to the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. My name is Alan Babbitt, Sports Information Director at Hope College. Thrilled to uh, bring to you interviews during the school year with Hope College coaches, administrators, as we, especially amid these challenging times during the COVID pandemic. It's nice to be able to hear from our coaches and see and hear about some of the great things they and our student athletes are doing. And with us today is men's and women's track and field coach Kevin Cole. Flying Dutchman got the chance to compete the first time this school year this past Saturday at Grand Valley, and thrilled to talk to him about that. Welcome to the podcast, Kevin.
Thanks, Alan.
Just first and foremost, take me back to the weekend and being able to compete over at Grand Valley State University in the Bob Hanks Open. I mean, first time since I think February 29th last year when you were at the MIAA, indoor track and field championships. How would you describe the mood and the feelings for everyone, yourself included, being able to compete again on Saturday?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hectic for sure, because we came back to practice the day before and then had a meet. But it was just really good to get back, and everybody was just really happy to be competing. It was low key. There was only three teams there. We only had 25 athletes out of our 100 some total athletes, but it was still just great to get competing again.
What did you hear from for student athletes? What were they saying to you, either during the meet or after the meet as you guys were headed home, or what you've heard from them perhaps afterward, just on their thoughts and what they felt like?
They were just glad to be competing again. It's been so long, and really they've been training on their own for what seems like forever, and now all of a sudden they get to be together and competing and being social from 6 feet away from each other, but at least being social, and seeing some other people. And track and field is all about that competition, and when you're just by yourself all the time, you're really losing the major aspect of
it. For you, with yourself and coaching, how was coaching? Was it any different, where besides maybe the distancing, or what was, or was it the same as you've had pre-COVID?
It was actually really nice. It was easier for me. There were fewer people, both on our team and the other teams. They had the entire track cleared of anybody but athletes and coaches, so it was just wide open. You can get to where you needed to. Kind of nice, really, that way. But not having spectators there, it changes things a lot. But I enjoyed it.
What has this past 10 months been like for you? I mean, everyone's figuring out a new normal, so to speak, and for you, being connected with your student athletes and not being able to practice with them and help them out, and lead them. And I know you enjoy your time with your coaches as well. So what's been your focus? How have you been able to try to get through these challenging times?
Yeah, it has really been a challenge, because I have so many athletes that are all doing so many different things. But what we've tried to do is just post the workouts for them, stay in touch and communicate with them when we can. Really almost like putting things on hold, but trying to maintain the level where we left off, so we don't drop anything and we can come into the season ready to go whenever that was, because it seemed like every week things would change, and we kept being prepared to start over and over and over, and then just kept getting pushed back or canceled, and who knows what's going to happen next week. We're just, you got to be flexible.
And then staying, I know a big part for, our coaches is that emotional connection. And especially it can be hard when you have a large team trying to, make sure you're connecting and supporting. How did you try to kind of work through that with a sport that, obviously has a large roster? That's a unique challenge.
Yeah, really, that was probably the toughest thing there. And I think really they just kind of kept in touch within small groups and kept each other going a little bit with that. And really, with NCAA rules, we can't do things like having them report what they're doing for workouts and all, that kind of stuff. So staying within that, but then also, staying in touch somewhat, but really just kind of getting the message out there, and hoping that they're mature and driven enough to keep themselves in shape, and a lot of them prove that they are.
What is it along that lines? What has impressed you as you've obviously had a chance this weekend to get with a group of them, and we'll have more this week with practice, and then preparation for Saturday's return to Grand Valley. What has impressed you about your student athletes and how they've dealt with everything? Because I mean, they're the ones that are missing the chance to to compete and be with their friends. I mean that's a difficult thing in its own right.
Yeah, have found them to be just super accepting and pretty laid back about it. It's like, oh, this is what it is. This is what the normal is. Okay, then that's what we do. I think they're adapting really well to that, and I think they're really really grounded young adults that realize that no matter how bad it is, they've still got it really good, and so they keep a positive attitude on things. I've I've never had a team that complains very much because I don't put up with it. And they haven't complained. It's like, thank you, coach, for giving us the chance to compete. Thank you for putting in the time to give us the workouts. They've been great about it.
I know one of the adjustments our athletes had to make this past weekend was wearing masks. With us being able to testing 3 times a week and being able to do that, but with the state guidelines and expectations of masking if you can't test 6. I mean that's a different thing to have to kind of contend with, and having started running myself during this pandemic, I've worn a mask a few times, and it's different. I mean just talk about that and what were what they had to get used to, and adjust to that it is the normal right now.
Yeah, I mean, we let them know pretty early on that they'd have to compete with masks on and practice with masks on, and so told them to experiment with a bunch of different masks and see which ones work the best for them, and they found a way to do it. I think, I don't know, I think they adapt better than us old guys, and just it's again, it's the normal to them, and so here's the mask, we got to wear it. We'll figure out a way to make it work. And we had people running 3,000 meters with a mask on, and really I don't think it affected them much, at least.
Talk about some of the performances this weekend. I know you and I spoke after the meet on Saturday, and you were very pleasantly surprised considering that lack of practice with how well your student athletes did. What were some of the performances and efforts that stood out to you between the men and the women?
Yeah, and I always keep my expectations low for the first meet, regardless of the circumstances. But with taking that few people there, and a lot of them were freshmen that have really never competed. The sophomores barely got a season last year, um, and they definitely exceeded it. I had 6 people on the team who got personal records, um, and to just come right in off of no training is pretty amazing to do that. There weren't a lot of meets last weekend across the country, but there were a few of them at least, and so it's kind of fun to go in and look at the nation leaders early on, because you look really good if you get in an early meet. But still, I mean, there's some other meets out there, and um, we got 2 people that are leading the nation. We've got, let's see, 6 people that are second or third in the nation in their events, and so that won't hold up if they don't get faster. But it's still fun to kind of see that right now.
I noticed, I saw some familiar names and some new names as well. I mean, Anna Tucker has been an outstanding runner right from the get-go for us. Ellie Hahn was another name, and there's just Nathaniel Woolham as well, and kind of shape up these teams. As obviously we'll get to practice and get to know with this indoor season. Talk about what you have on this roster and what you see as strengths as you guys move forward.
Yeah, and we're definitely deep in the distances. Anna was All-American in our abbreviated season last year in the 3K. Actually went to the indoor meet and it warmed up a little bit, and they shut down the indoor national meet, and they made anybody who qualified All-American in it. So she came away with that. I mean, she's an awesome runner. She's going to be one of the tops in the nation regardless. And she had a great 3K time with that. And so did Nick Hoffman on the guys side in the 3K. So those two just stalwarts of the team. But then we've also got some really good looking young people who came in. We had Dan Campbell ran his first mile I think since maybe junior year of high school, and gets like an 11-second PR, and he's sitting second in the nation right now. So we're kind of deep in with our older people, but also our younger people too. We've got like you said, Nate Woolham, he's sitting second in the nation in the 400, but Drew Dow was right behind him. He's third. Hannah Kenny is leading in both the mile and the 800. Grace Behrens, she's one of the people who came in great shape. Came right in and almost got a PR in the 60, got a PR in the 200. Nate Trumbull came back and got 2 PRs, and that's tough to do right off the bat in the first meet in the 60 meters and the 200. So.
With you guys getting practice going this week and then getting that regular part of your regular routine, and then how does the rest of the indoor season shape out? What do you focus on in practice? What else do you have on the calendar right now that you guys are looking forward to?
Well, we're trying to make practice as normal as possible and pretend like we've got a normal season, other than wearing masks and staying distanced all the time during it. We're trying to act like it's a season, and we're trying to get ready for that conference meet in early March with it. Now the meets, I've got some on the schedule. We've got Grand Valley this week, Saturday. We have a couple of conference meets towards the end of February and early March. I've got one at Trine that's on the schedule already, trying to set up some other ones in there. But everybody knows that it's week to week with that. And a meet that's on the schedule may disappear, or I may find another one. Maybe I can set up a dual meet with Calvin or something like that. So we're still just kind of working things out, whereas usually in a normal season, we'd have it all written down and we'd know exactly what was going to happen. In outdoor, I have no idea yet. We'll see.
How do you approach, obviously indoor weather, although it's been unseasonably not snowy here in Holland so far, although maybe I'll put a jinx on that right now. But how do you train in the winter as you compete during an indoor season?
Yeah, well, we have, obviously we get outside when we can. It's just easier on the legs to be out there, especially, distance runners. We've got the nice snow melt that we can use sometimes in downtown. But what I can do with sprinters and jumpers, and I've got this week's awesome because there's nobody around. So I've got the whole tennis center. We can do a 200-meter oval in there. We've got our pole vault plant box in there. We've got jump mats in there. So it's kind of fun. I'm calling it track camp. And and it's kind of neat having a larger percentage of the team all kind of together in the same space than we would during a normal year. Next week when the classes get started, we'll still do some things in the tennis center. We'll start using the Dow more, and we just kind of work around the constraints, but it's worked for us. We've been pretty successful.
Your connection with Hope, going back to your days as a student athlete, a very accomplished, student athlete yourself, on MIAA in both cross country and track during your career, a two-time MIAA champion in the 800-meter run, and a captain as a senior as well. Take me, when you think back about your days as a student athlete, what do you remember, and brings a smile to your face?
It's a long time ago now. Um, it's that was the I don't know. I was very serious about my studies and did well in those, but really the fun of college to me was track and cross country, and that's where a huge percentage of my friend base came from, and I just looked forward every day to going to practice um, and blowing off some steam from a frustrating quiz that day or something. But it was just a great experience to me, and I think we get quite a few of these people who come out of Hope and they're had such an awesome experience that they want to find some way to get back. And I'm one of the very few lucky people that actually got to do it. Took me a while of working my way um, through my master's and my PhD and coaching at some other places and teaching at some other places, but eventually worked my way back. And I still call it my dream job. So I'm living the dream.
What is it about track and field that was your sport? Obviously, a lot of, some people find football, some people find basketball, people find track and field. What is it for you that's just that sport that's been, obviously a lifelong passion for you?
I was good at it.
That helps.
Big thing. I mean, you go out and boy, it was seventh grade. I went out and did my first cross country meet, and the next day they were talking about the results on the school announcements, and I heard my name, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm somebody!" So I'm going to stick with this thing. It's better than sitting at the end of the bench and basketball and going in for the last minute and missing all my free throws or whatever. So yeah, part of it was being good at it. But another part, I just think it's just such a pure sport. It's you work, you get back what you work for, and the harder you work at it, the better you're going to get, whether you're one of the people who are winning the meets or you're just trying to improve yourself. And there's so much about setting personal records and improving, and there's no coach's decision over whether he's going to put you in the game or not. It's if you beat somebody else, you beat somebody else, and nobody's going to dispute that. Even if you're really ugly getting from point A to point B, if you do it really fast, you're still a good athlete. So it's just a little different that way, and it's very individual, and I've always really liked that, and just the freedom of it.
You talked about your studies and, your master's, from Texas Christian, and then your PhD from Ball State. Just talk about your educational pursuits and what you found and how that shapes what you do today as well.
Yeah, actually, I started out pre-med when I went to Hope, and had the sophomore year epiphany that many of the students do, that I was going into it for all the wrong reasons, and just thought about things for a long time, and realized, what do I really like? I like athletics. I like running, and I really like to think about what's happening inside of the body during that exercise, and talk to um, a couple of my profs at that time. One of them, who was actually my cross country coach too, and found out you could actually major in exercise science, go on and get an advanced degree in it. And I'm like, so I can learn about this stuff that I already am learning about, and make it a profession. And so once I found out that, I knew that was going to be my track from then on, and just kept moving on from it, right from Hope, and had some great experiences. I got to work with testing Olympians when I was in in graduate school. We tested a lot of the people like Frank Shorter and Bill Rogers, people who'd medaled in the Olympics and won the Boston Marathon, and then we brought them back like 20 years after that, and we were testing these people and seeing what had happened to them later on. I got to work with testing astronauts at the Johnson Space Center down in Texas. Just a lot of really cool stuff that was just kind of an extension of my love for sport and for track and field.
And that love for track and field and hope has come full circle now with your having your daughter Jacinda on the team, and having her be a part of this track and field and this Hope College experience. I know your wife Lynn's a Hope alum as well, so a lot of deep connections there. What has that meant just to have this be some extra time? We profiled you and Brian Morehouse and Stu Fritz and Tucker Fritz and Meg Morehouse. Got a chance to talk to you guys as well about that. What has it meant to have that extra time with your daughter?
Yeah, it's been great. I should mention that my wife Lynn was also an amazing athlete at Hope.
Very good point.
Had the 800 and 1500 conference record, and I think she deserves a lot of the genetic credit there also for Jacinda and my other kids. But yeah, it's been wonderful having Jacinda on the team and just being able to see her compete all the time. This last Saturday was a extreme example of that because we weren't allowed to have any spectators in there. So I was one of the few parents who actually got to see their kid race. And so it's been fun seeing her advance as a runner and as an adult and as a student.
How is that as a coach? Has that changed anything your eyes as a coach? I mean, it's just something that kind of help you relate kind of what your student athletes are thinking in this moment, or is there anything that's helped you out that you've learned from, having your own child as part of the team?
Oh, it's very helpful because sometimes I can be a little out of touch and not knowing exactly what people are thinking, and just I tap into her all the time and just kind of ask her, if I did this, what's the team going to think? And she's like, no, that's stupid. Don't do that. And she's almost always right. And so I've learned a lot that way. I've also learned just kind of seeing it from a parent's eye, and in addition to a coach's eye, and seeing the way that some improvements that I can make to the program and things like that.
And then I know when we talked before, how proud of you, or how not only her effort to improve and become the outstanding student athlete she's become, an athlete, but also just her growth as a person. Just what's that meant to you to see her really, kind of mature and become a person that's going to make an impact, after she leaves Hope?
Yeah, it's cool to see that. I mean, she's always been I don't know, she's kind of been a leader wherever she's been. Maybe that's an older child thing or whatnot. I don't know, but she's I've always been proud of her for everything that she's been able to do with that. But just kind of seeing how she's matured through the college process, and she's ready to go out in the world, and she's going to be a teacher, and she's going to be an awesome teacher. And I hope that she also gets to be a coach, because she can be a great coach too. But I think she's just somebody that that a lot of the student athletes just kind of feel comfortable going to her and asking her questions, and she's got a good head on her shoulders.
Awesome. Look forward to watching her and you and your teams hopefully compete this winter. So best of luck with this season, and hopefully we'll obviously see an outdoor season and get that back going as well.
All right, thanks, Alan.